Paris terror manhunt. Police close in on two gunmen on the run after yesterday's attack on Charlie Hebdo.
Police pursuit tragedy. A 17-month-old girl dies after being hit by a car during a police chase through Western Sydney.
Superstorm warning. Victoria and South Australia brace for a weekend of wild weather.
The Asian Cup kicks off. Our Socceroos prepare to take on Kuwait in a blockbuster opening match.
And
Australia Day barbie at my place, bit of cricket, couple of lamb chops. You in? Yeah, all right.
Richie Benaud's sizzling new role.
Look at him go. Good morning to you. It is Friday the 9th of January. Jeez, starring in a new campaign.
I know. Showing no signs of slowing down.
The one and
That's
only.
where he's been all this time.
Did you see there was 300 of the impersonators?
Yeah, impressive.
And of course, Australia plays Kuwait tonight, so there's a stack of sport on.
Yeah, there certainly is. Good morning to you,
stuff.
Sylvia.
Good morning to you.
Happy Friday.
And to you too. Whatever Richie Benaud is having, I will have it too.
Yes.
That's good, doesn't it? Absolutely.
Good stuff.
All right, it is news time. Now let's get the very latest with Sylvia.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning. We begin with the Paris massacre, and a large-scale police operation is underway right now in a town northeast of the capital, where there have been reported sightings of the two gunmen thought to be behind the terror attack on magazine Charlie Hebdo. Here in Australia, people have gathered across the country to honour the victims of the Charlie Hebdo killings. In Melbourne, 3,000 people crowded Federation Square, holding up pens and candles in a sign of solidarity. In Sydney, a large crowd met in Martin Place, the scene of the deadly siege last month, as well as Hyde Park. Thousands of people were holding signs reading Je suis Charlie. Two boys aged just 8 and 9 have been blamed for starting a bushfire which almost destroyed a primary school in Perth. The boys are too young to face criminal charges but will be made to undergo an early intervention program instead. It's believed that more than half of the 2,000 fires in Western Australia this bushfire season have been deliberately lit. Well, Bill Cosby's TV wife, Alicia, has spoken out, defending him over allegations he drugged and assaulted numerous women. The support came as Cosby came out of hiding for the first time in weeks. Checking finance for you now. Beginning on Wall Street, the Dow Jones this morning has rallied up 295 points, the S&P 500 also in positive territory. At home, the All Ords ended the day nearly 25 points stronger yesterday, while on the Asian markets, Japan's Nikkei closed up, the Hang Seng also stronger, and in London, the FTSE this morning 150 points up. Turning to commodities, gold this morning and silver are both flat, while oil this morning is trading at $48.6 US a barrel, and the Australian dollar stronger against the majors, still only worth 81.1 US cents though. Well, Angelina Jolie has met Pope Francis during a private audience at the Vatican. There you go. She is one step closer to holiness, is Angelina.
She is.
It's interesting that he hadn't actually seen the film though.
Well, yeah, maybe it's a long one and he doesn't have enough time, you know? Movies go for a very long time these days, don't they?
They do.
A
I
long
haven't seen it either, so I've got something in common. Thank you, Sylvia. All right, let's take a look at the weather around the country. Possible showers for you in Brisbane. It should reach 30 degrees.
And sunny in Perth, a top of 31 degrees. Right, it is time for all the sports news of the day now. Good morning to you, Tim.
Morning, Leach. Morning, Tim. Quite a bit about Roger Federer kicks off his 2015 campaign. English imports again continue to shine in the Big Bash, and a late breakthrough. It was on a hat-trick, Shane Watson, as Australia takes advantage in the fourth test. All on the way.
Just where you gotta be.
That is Sia's new clip for the song Elastic Heart. It features Shia LaBeouf, if you didn't recognise him. I certainly didn't. And the same dancer from her previous clip, Chandelier. We're going to bring you a little bit more later on. He sort of went off the rails, didn't he?
Him with
Did he go off the
all his
rails?
clothes
Was he
off.
wearing a paper bag on his head at one stage?
Possibly.
I think he might have been.
Now he's wearing some facial hair in
There
his
you go.
face. Yeah, there you go.
You know, onwards and upwards.
All right, let's check the front pages now. Not afraid, says the Advertiser this morning. The Islamic extremists who murdered 12 people in Paris have brought a world of condemnation down upon their cause. and ignited an extraordinary spirit of defiance. And fresh-faced fury, the NT News says this feisty female freshwater croc tried to grab hold of a woman at Fog Dam yesterday. Luckily, though, she managed to escape.
All right, it is time for all the celeb buzz with Giselle Ugarte. Good morning to you, Giselle.
First up, it's a social media war between spouses Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi. First, Ellen caught Portia doing a little Jane Fonda workout and then uploaded it to EllenTube. But then Portia got her back, catching Ellen singing on the treadmill. So has Ellen learned her lesson? Are they going to call a truce? But now moving on to John Travolta, who said that he left his TV career behind decades ago to focus on film. Well, now he's heading back to the small screen for American Crime Story. Looking forward to that, and we'll get back to more goss a little later. Back to you, Alicia and Tim.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Giselle.
Giselle.
We'll see you soon. All right, coming up, the new wristband that can hopefully help scare away sharks. We're going to speak to the inventor to find out how it works. All right, it is 6 o'clock, so let's go straight to the news with Sylvia.
Thank you, Alicia. Good morning. We go first to live pictures coming into the newsroom right now of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Now, right this moment, the lights on the iconic structure are set to begin being turned off in a sombre tribute to the victims of the terror attack on magazine Charlie Hebdo. The 324-metre tall monument will stand in silent darkness overnight, while thousands gather on the other side of the city for a second night of vigils. We'll stay across that vision as it comes into the newsroom. A critical incident investigation is underway back home following the death of a toddler during a police pursuit through Sydney's west. Today, Sydney reporter Chris Urquhart is at Constitution Hill for us near Parramatta. Chris, a tragic outcome. What more can you tell us? Chris Urquhart, thank you. Checking the markets for you now, beginning on Wall Street. The Dow Jones this morning has rallied up 267 points. The S&P 500 also stronger. At home, the All Ords ended the day 24 points higher yesterday, while on the Asian markets, Japan's Nikkei and the Hang Seng are both in positive territory, while the FTSE ended the day 150 points up. Commodities, gold just weaker, as is silver, while oil this morning is trading at $48 a barrel. And the Australian dollar stronger against the majors, 81.1 US cents and 53 British pence. Well, now to a call out for some of our cuddly friends. Koalas, injured while fleeing from the recent bushfires, are in desperate need of cotton mittens to protect their bandaged paws. So anyone out there who can help, please do. It's a terrific cause to get behind.
And here's a fun fact for you. Koalas are the only other animal, apart from us humans, that actually have individual fingerprints.
Oh, is that right?
They can't commit a crime then.
Exactly. If they
without being
commit
caught.
crimes, we don't know who they are.
Koalas on notice. You are full of
Useless information.
useful, I was going to say, facts.
Australia will be hunting for quick wickets, of course, to clean up India's tail. They resume at 5 for 342 on the day 4 of the final test match. Tim and Alicia.
Yeah, great summer of tennis ahead. And on 9 as well, which is great.
Yeah, this is a new format. It's going to be interesting to see how
Really
it goes.
great. Yeah, thanks, Tim. All right, it is time for the first hit of the morning with Aislin Kriukelis with all the weather details. Good morning, Aislin.
This is a place that is all about getting out and about and enjoying the water. So today we're going to show you a couple of popular holiday activities. We're going to show you a couple of different vessels, a couple of different ways to get out and about on beautiful Wallace Lake here.
Beautiful stuff.
Absolutely stunning, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Looks
what
like
a
it's the
great
place
morning.
to be.
Thanks, Aislin. We'll see you soon. All right, coming up after the break, we'll have the latest on the manhunt for the Paris terror suspects and what Australia can learn from this attack.
And do the Socceroos have what it takes to win the Asian Cup? A full preview with a soccer legend ahead on Today.
Good morning to you. It is time for The Buzz. Is this the most creative time-lapse ever? A mum took a photo of herself every day during her pregnancy and used a balloon to show the bub's growth.
4 months you brought to life.
Oh, little Bubba. Very sweet. That's very sweet, isn't it?
It's taken some doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Born with a chipmunk
Wow.
voice after all the helium, do you think?
Yes, exactly.
Alrighty, and how cool is this one? British snowboarder Jamie Nicholls is renowned for his daring stunts. This one, though, has never been done before. Watch him. Thanks for watching. News is coming up next.
I'm Rob Bass and I came to get down. I'm not internationally known, but I'm known to rock the microphone because I get.
A very good morning to you. A large-scale police operation is underway right now in a town northeast of Paris where there have been reported sightings of the two gunmen thought to be behind that terror attack on French magazine Charlie Hebdo. For more, we're joined by Nine News reporter Darren Curtis for What's Making News. Good morning to you, Darren.
Good morning, Alicia.
A national day of mourning was declared for France, but despite this, the violence we saw continued overnight in Paris. A policewoman was shot dead.
This is going to start a big wave right around the world. We've already seen it here in Australia, for example, in Melbourne and Sydney. We saw people getting together and showing some solidarity. There is a real effort here that this could actually, these type of incidents, turn into Muslim phobia, I think.
We've seen, disturbingly, some Australian extremists now praising the gunman online, turning to Twitter to justify the attack, Darren.
This man is allowed to have his freedom of speech. This is exactly what we're talking about, is that you can come out and say what you like. We don't have to listen to it as a community. We don't have to believe it. We don't have to take it on board. We don't have to give him the vehicle to be able to spread this hate and this filth that he's talking about, but at least he is allowed to say it. Now, that's the difference between our community and so many others around the world where we've been intervening and trying to give some freedom to people as well.
To finish up this morning, a hotel in Perth has come under fire for rejecting cyclists from dining at their pub because they didn't allow lycra outfits. The patrons have now thrown their support behind the hotel, saying the revealing attire would put them off their food. Darren, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm a cyclist myself, but I do cover up when I go to the cafe or the local hotel or whatever I choose to do on my little stop break, because, well, I've been sitting there at a table and turned around and received, well, a very unflattering look from people wearing, say, for example, red lycra. Now, for those of you who have actually been out, red is never accommodating and never a fashion statement, I guess, for men. So please don't do it. I really don't want to see a camel toe, or I don't want to see whatever while I'm sitting there having my bacon and eggs in the morning.
Yes, I think we'll just leave it there, Darren. Thank you very much for that. Over to you, Tim.
What a nice note to end on. Thank you, Alicia. Well, Sia is back with a brand new music video. All the entertainment news up next on Today. Friday morning, Sia is back with a new music video for her song Elastic Heart. And just like the famous Chandelier clip, this one also features child dancer Maddie Ziegler, along with Hollywood actor Shia LaBeouf. And now it is that time of the week where we introduce you to an artist that we reckon could be the next big thing. It is Fresh Act Friday.
He sounds great, doesn't he? Always good to see a fresh act on a Friday.
Ed Wells, remember that name?
Yeah, exactly. All right, here are the top stories on Today. A very good morning to you. Well, French police are surrounding a small village northeast of Paris right now after reported sightings of the two gunmen behind the terror attack on magazine Charlie Hebdo and the shooting death of 12 people. Let's go straight to Nine Europe correspondent Peter Stefanovic. Morning, Pete. Are police closing in on the gunmen? OK, Pete, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much for that. Tim.
Thank you, Alicia. Back home now, and the government has condemned the attack in Paris, calling it an unspeakable atrocity. Overnight, thousands gathered in vigil across the country in a show of defiance and condemnation and to honour the fallen victims. Prime Minister Tony Abbott joins us now this morning. Prime Minister, good morning to you. An absolutely horrific incident. Your thoughts firstly on what took place in Paris.
It is an attack on civilisation. It is an attack on one of our most precious values, namely our commitment to free speech, which is at the very heart of Western civilisation.
What is the government doing to ensure that a similar attack to the one we saw in Paris doesn't happen here in Australia?
They learn the skills of warfare. They learn how to be killers over there, and that's why it's so important that we take the strongest possible action at our borders.
In your opinion, how far should Australian media outlets go when satirising religions or minority groups?
If we do engage in self-censorship, if we do change the way we live and the way we think, that gives terrorists a victory. And the last thing that we should do is give these evil fanatics any kind of victory.
Can I ask you just on another matter quickly, Prime Minister? Yesterday we saw former Sydney man and drug smuggler Myuran Sukumaran. He lost his, what appears to be his last appeal, appealing for some mercy from the Indonesian government. He looks set now to face the firing squad there. Are you going to intervene on his behalf at all?
We oppose the death penalty for Australians. We oppose it at home. we oppose it abroad. But I do have to say that it is incumbent upon us to respect the systems that other countries have.
Much lighter note. We saw you pop into the Channel 9 commentary box yesterday. Any chance we might see you join the commentary team when your time in politics is done?
Well, I'm in no hurry to end my time in politics, Tim, and I suspect that as a cricket commentator I make an excellent politician.
All right, we'll leave it there, Prime Minister. Thank you for your time this morning.
A reward will be offered for any information relating to the cold case disappearance and suspected murder of a New South Wales teenager 18 years ago. 15-year-old Jessica Small was hitchhiking with a friend in Bathurst in 1997 when they were attacked by a man who offered the girls a lift. Her friend managed to escape, but the car drove off with Jessica inside, and anyone with information is being urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Well, first it was fires, and now Victorians are being warned to brace for flash flooding. South Australia is also set to experience heavy rainfall, the heaviest, in fact, in 30 years. Today's Justine Conway and Elise Baker have the very latest for us. First to you, Justine, in Melbourne. Let's talk about going from one extreme to another. What is the outlook for Victoria?
Definitely not going to be a great weekend. Definitely one to stay indoors, and I wouldn't be planning much, Alicia.
Yeah, good advice. Now let's go to Elise Baker in Adelaide. Elise, what is the situation where you are?
If you're about to head into work, it's probably best that you take an umbrella with you. Alicia?
All right, Elise, thank you very much for that. Thank you also to Justine. Over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Alicia. Well, if the recent spate of shark sightings and attacks has you thinking twice before heading down to the beach, then we might just have some good news for you. Nathan Garrison is the brains behind a new wristband called Shark Band. Pretend I'm a scientific idiot here. Tell us how this device actually works.
It disrupts this electrical sense of the shark in a way that's highly unpleasant for it, akin to having a really bright light shine in your eyes, but it doesn't harm the shark and it's quickly deterred.
Can you guarantee that I'll be safe?
We're giving people a defense against sharks, whereas they previously had none.
Nathan, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. All right, let's see where it is going to be beach weather this weekend. Over to you, Aislin.
We're just enjoying being here. We've got Paul over there. He's on his stand-up paddleboard. He's a bit far behind. I'm beating him, actually. But so we've done the stand-up paddleboarding. We've done the kayaking. And next, I'm going to show you a much bigger vessel. Something much more impressive.
Intriguing.
Relaxing, doesn't it?
That'll be good.
Early morning paddle.
Lovely.
People get up to at this time of the morning.
Yes, exactly.
All right, it is time now for the buzz. This first one is a little bit crazy. Two riders in Belgrade attempting the best curved wall ride. Take a look.
Oh, wow.
Little guy loves to sing along to Russian music, but others don't seem to enjoy it quite so much.
Wow.
Bang!
Wow.
Yeah, that's some honest
cat.
feedback.
See, cats. Can't trust them. You can't.
Don't say that to Sylvia, she's a cat lover.
Nothing. I'm an everything lover. That's all. I'm for everyone.
You're a fence sitter. All right, coming up, cartoonists around the world putting pen to paper in support of Charlie Hebdo victims.
Plus, there is a new Lambassador for Australia Day. Oh, it's very good. More on that coming up very soon.
And our very own Iggy shines at the People's Choice Awards. Richard Wilkinson with the story ahead on Today.
Groundbreaking what the word is. Hit the stage yet shaking like I'm nervous. When in New York, I be.
All right, coming up after 8 o'clock on Today, we have got a notorious anti-vaccination campaigner coming up on the show. There have been calls for the government to actually cancel her visa. She's coming out here to do a series of talks. 5 venues so far have cancelled.
Always a hugely controversial subject.
Certainly is. It is coming up to 7:30, so it's time for the news with Sylvia.
Severe weather warning is in place today for much of Victoria, with heavy rain and damaging winds on the way. In the next 72 hours, some parts of the state will receive a month's worth of rain, with widespread flash flooding expected. In Adelaide, there are concerns the rain will wash ash and sediment into the city's drinking water supply. Authorities say residents may be able to taste a difference, however, it will not affect their health. Checking the weather around the country for you in most of the capitals. Beginning in Brisbane, a top of 30 for you today and showers. And sunny in Perth with a warm top of 31. Well, social media and a phone call from one brave little boy has helped rescue a hiker from rugged terrain in the US. The 41-year-old man fell 150 metres down a cliff during a family trip in California. His 11-year-old son called for help, but when the phone cut out, it was up to quick-thinking emergency dispatchers to find the pair. Ryan Pritchard says his son, Jake, is his hero. Clever boy. All right, let's go to Tim Gilbert with all the sport now.
Yeah, great little work there. Now, day 4 of the final test match today, Sylvia, on Channel 9 at the SCG, and the pitch is expected to be a lot tougher to play on. Australia looks to clean up India's tail, of course. Something's changed. I don't know what it is.
Marvellous job, Jimmy.
Thank you very much, boys. I'll give you the cash later. Coming up, a Barbie at Richie's, a marvellous mob of Benos join us in the studio to celebrate the cricket legend's sizzling new role. Can you just give us a 2 for 22 after 3, all right? 1, 2, 3.
2 for 22.
Alicia.
Great stuff. Well done, boys, getting up very early this morning. Okay, well, it seems pretty clear that the terrorists behind the mass shooting at Charlie Hebdo 2 nights ago targeted the satirical magazine for its controversial cartoons about the Prophet Muhammad.
The attack has raised questions over freedom of speech. How far does the right of freedom of expression extend? Well, joining us for a panel discussion this morning on these cartoons and their effect on the Muslim community more broadly, we're joined by Kaiser Trad from the Islamic Friendship Association and Daily Telegraph cartoonist Warren Brown. Your reaction to the events in Paris?
Look, I was very upset when I heard about the events. I was shocked, and the first thing that came to my mind is, of course, the people who were killed and their families must be very upset, and our condolences go to them. They're not just killing the Prophet, they're trying to kill the whole religion of Islam through these acts of extremism. If you were to look under the Islamic teachings, this would be seen as a crime under the Islamic teachings as well.
Can I ask you, Warren, as a cartoonist for the Daily Telly, this incident in Paris, is it going to make you perhaps less inclined to take such a biting approach in your cartoons?
Oh, definitely not. But I have to say, we're living in a different world now, you know. I'm used to seeing people being beheaded, of children holding up severed heads and this sort of thing. It's a different world, and I feel disgusted about it, but you can't let these people take over.
They've launched an attack on Islam by attacking this publication.
Yeah, that is the message that needs to be out there, isn't it? I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the award season officially kicked off overnight with the biggest stars of music, TV and movies coming together for the People's Choice Awards in Los Angeles. Our own Iggy Azalea was one of the big winners, and Richard Wilkins has the recap.
Very good, Dickie Wilkins. He's actually on holidays at the moment, but I understand we've had some photos of him. He's dressing up as Richie, so we'll get his impersonation early next week. Now, the Socceroos will start their Asian Cup campaign tonight against Kuwait with the hopes of the country resting on the boys' shoulders. This Asian Cup is huge, and to have it on our doorstep, massive.
Just brilliant. It's great for the game. Of course, it's great for the country as well.
There's nothing quite like sport and tournaments and cricket and soccer at this time of year, and with all these other stories going around the world, we'll watch it with interest. Alicia?
Well said. Just on that, a very busy news day. We are going to go live to the small town in northern France where police are pursuing the Paris terror suspects. That is coming up next on Today. We'll see you after this.
The difference? The boy band giving 1D a run for their money. Plus,
I'll slip an extra shrimp on the barbie for you.
How to clean your barbecue without buying a thing. This weekend on Today.
Welcome back. You are watching Today on this Friday morning. It is time now for The Grill this morning with Sylvia Jeffreys and Alicia Loxley. And in Melbourne, we have George McIncrow. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. All right, first to a video out of the United States that police do not want people to see. We're going to show it anyway. It provides instructions on how to avoid a roadside breath test. A Florida lawyer claims he created this controversial video and guidelines to help drivers who were wrongly accused of being under the influence. Is this a cause for concern?
Well, I think it's irresponsible, but I also think this guy is obviously is very good at self-promotion, and I imagine he will have clients knocking down his door saying, can you get me out of this ticket? If you're drunk, you're probably not going to be very good at following the instructions anyway. So.
George, what did you make of that video?
I'm just waiting for the app that we can get on our phones that gives us a breathalyzer so that you can't, drink and dial ex-boyfriends, but also you've had too much to drink before you get behind the wheel.
All right, let's move on. Controversial one, this one. Doctors are calling for an anti-vaccine campaigner to be banned from entering Australia. Is that a step too far?
Yeah, I think it is a step too far. I think in a country like Australia, we've been talking a lot about free speech in light of the events in Paris. And if you don't believe in vaccination, then you are buying into the fact that this in some way is a big conspiracy, that it's all about money and that the pharmaceutical companies, along with all the doctors, all the scientists and all the experts are somehow all in on this together, and that it's a big con job to in some way harm our children, and I just don't buy into that.
You've just got to hope that anyone who goes along to this seminar also goes and does some research elsewhere and gets some ideas and thoughts from other experts who perhaps are more qualified to be sharing their opinions.
All right, George, you're a parent to 4. Your thoughts?
Idiots are allowed to believe what idiots want to believe and ignore science at their peril. It's infuriating, but idiots are allowed to talk, including me.
All right, finally this morning, ladies, we've got a very cute video that has gone viral. It shows some rather hilarious reactions of kids being told about where babies come from. Take a look.
Then how does Daddy give the sperm to Mommy?
They have sex.
What?
I told you Nick told me a lot of stuff.
Speaking of misinformation.
Yeah, exactly. We'll let science sort that one out too. Hey, George, I know you've got 4 kids, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
How did the conversation go down in your house?
Look, I find it funny that people are still squeamish about it. I'd like to start having conversations with young people about how to have good sex, how to, read cues of where someone's really not into it, and the less panicky and, clutching our smelling salts we get, the better the conversation is for everybody.
I do remember the banana coming out in grade 6 in our sex education class, and it was quite embarrassing. But Mum and Dad's solution to this would have put on, was it called Where Do I Come From?
I didn't see the VHS.
VHS, shut the door, and my brother and I sat there and looked slightly confused at each other and watched this. I think it was 5 minutes, and then Mum and Dad thought their job was done.
My Year 4 teacher, Mr. O'Reilly, he was the first teacher to address it with me. He would tell us all about everything, and then at the end of the session would hold up a card that said giggle time, and we were allowed to sit there and, giggle about the words we just learnt. You don't want it to be taboo, do you?
I got taught sex ed by a celibate Christian brother at school, so that was pretty awkward.
How did that
go? It was very dry. I think he was trying to encourage all of us down the road of celibacy as well. George, we'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid. Thank you for your thoughts this morning. All right, we've got more on the vaccine debate coming up. We'll be hearing from experts on both sides, and then we are live to northern France with police in pursuit of the Paris terror suspects. All of that coming up on Today.
French police are conducting a large-scale operation northeast of Paris this morning in an effort to find the gunman responsible for yesterday's terror attack in the capital. In breaking news, police have arrested a 29-year-old man after a woman's body was found in a Melbourne unit. Officers made the grim discovery inside the Brunswick West premises. It is believed the victim and the arrested man are known to each other. Tim and Alicia, that's all for now. 9news.com.au for all the updates. Back to you.
And plenty more through Nine News bulletins over the course of the day in the hunt for those 2 gunmen in France. Right, let's get the check of the local forecast now.
I myself personally don't have the stomach for oysters, unfortunately.
Come on, Aislin.
I'm not going to ruin your morning by trying one live on air. No, you don't want to see it. You do not want to see it, I'm sorry. But I'm told by all the locals here that they are absolutely delicious, and I'm going to take this platter over to them straight after this, and I'm sure they'll love them.
Wait.
Just do it.
This could be the turning point.
Sorry, guys.
Aislin. Come on.
You can't do this to me.
Come on.
I've done it.
You can do it. Just open up.
They do look beautiful, but look, they look huge.
No,
come on.
We're not taking the camera off.
You can do it.
We're not moving
Less
until
for
you
me,
eat
more
one.
for everyone else. I'm giving them to the crew.
We're going to miss the cricket coverage.
I'm thinking about the locals. More for them.
All I want now is an oyster.
Exactly.
Funny up there, she's not going to eat them, that's for sure.
All right, well, coming up, the anti-vaccination campaign are causing a stir around the world. We speak to Sherry Tenpenny about her controversial stance. That is coming up after this.
Current affair, money, marriage and divorce. Financial guru Paul Clitheroe's ultimate guide for couples. How to make the most of your assets and get your share of the cash, even if your marriage is on the rocks. That's the current affair tonight. Now it's back to the Today Show.
Thank you, Layla. Well, our next guest has been labelled such a threat that parenting and medical groups want her banned from entering Australia. So you must be aware by now that it's a pretty controversial topic, though.
It's a controversial topic everywhere. I didn't know that it was quite as heated in Australia. It certainly isn't that heated here in the US.
You advocate personal choice, from my understanding, but The medical experts on this say that vaccination is a social responsibility, that you're risking public health, particularly that of children, the elderly and the sick, by exposing them to infectious diseases. What's your response to that?
My response is that I believe that people do have a choice and should have a fully informed choice about what is being injected into their bodies.
Don't the really sick, though, rely on herd immunity, that if we do advocate personal choice for everyone and if everyone decided not to vaccinate, then we would have an absolute public health disaster on our hands?
Well, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean that you're not going to get sick.
What qualifies you, though, to talk about this? You're an osteopath, not an immunologist.
Well, an osteopath in America is trained the same as a medical doctor.
Your initial response to what Sherry had to say this morning?
Well, I think her point about there being freedom of choice is something that everyone agrees about in Australia. I mean, there's never been any suggestion that people would be forced to be immunised, but I guess what everyone, I think, in the medical community and as well as the vaccine community is keen to emphasise is that the benefits of being vaccinated just so far exceed any risks that it's really a no-brainer.
Sometimes when we hear from anti-vaccination campaigners, there's almost a stance of that the science is still out, that we don't yet know if they're safe and we don't yet know if they're effective, and often people talk about them all being bundled together as being an issue.
But I'd just emphasise to everyone that we do have that high priority. So firstly, vaccines are extensively tested before they're available for use, and even after they're available for use, they're very carefully monitored to make sure that we're not getting any unexpected problems.
Well, Peter McIntyre, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Alicia. After the break, Celeb Buzz with Giselle Ugarte. Hey, Giselle, what's on the menu this morning?
Good morning, Tim. Good morning to all of you at home. Jimmy Fallon challenges Liam Neeson to a Tonight Show arm wrestling contest. Can the talk show host take down the Taken star? I'll have the hilarious video and, of course, all the goss from Hollywood coming up after the break.
Can you make an Australia Day barbie at my place? Bit of cricket, couple of lamb chops. You in?
Yeah, all right.
I could just watch that over and over again.
Yeah. Cookie.
Our new ambassador.
Wouldn't
the
you
one and
love
only.
to have a lamb chop with Richie?
Oh,
I'd love it.
Yeah.
That'd be a dream come true.
Wouldn't
It's going to be really interesting. He'll watch every ball today. Interesting days Test cricket on Channel 9 to see what happens with the SCG pitch and whether India can hang on.
What's your prediction?
Oh, look, I reckon there'll be a result. Give you more tomorrow.
How's that fence you're sitting on?
There'll be a result.
Yeah, how the splinters in your boat.
Go and have an oyster, Aislin.
Thanks for your company. Have a great weekend. We'll see you bright and early Monday.
See you Monday.